on Houston. You are definitely smiling right now, but I agree with you guys. They're awfully good. They just keep playing that game where they can go up and down the court. They can score. That was a big win the other night. I think they're really, really good, and they're fun to watch.
In Villanova, they're just like we talked about Kentucky, a team that's peaking at the right time. Villanova, they lost everybody off of last year's team, and for them to gel as quickly as they had, and to go to Marquette and only lose by one, there's no shame in that. Marquette is playing good basketball. I mean, Marquette, I think they're 17-2 their last 19 games with both losses to
and they might have the player of the year.
Yeah, so
Marcus Howard is absolutely insane.
Villanova's going to be a tough out as well. Obviously, they're not going to repeat, but I think they can make a deep run.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And, Jay Wright knows his team, and he understands his team. And even though they have 5 losses, guys, it's not something that I worry about with some of these schools. As we talked about with Michigan State with 5 losses, Nova with 5 losses, I don't worry about the losses come tournament time because they always seem to play their best ball at that point, and they learn and build off those losses. So I agree with you as far as Villanova goes.
Especially when those losses are in November and December.
Yeah. Right.
You throw those ones out.
Let me throw 2 more teams out there, and then we'll get to some of tonight's action. Washington and LSU. LSU is, I'm a big Will Wade fan. I think he's a great young coach, one of the real keepers in college basketball, and I think they're ahead of schedule. And Washington, the Pac-12 is awful. But Washington plays that Boeheim zone, and that we know can be a problem for teams that haven't seen it come tournament time.
Yeah, LSU, I agree. I think they're one of those teams that still has a lot of potential. I don't think they know how good they are right now. They only have 4 losses. I think they're a good team as well. And in Washington, it's that style of play. But you're right. A lot of people don't know that much about them. But defensively, it's a challenge for a lot of teams to get good looks against them.
Yeah, the game they lost on Saturday.
That was a terrible spot for them.
I was on Arizona State. You're coming off of beating USC, UCLA. Even though they're not good this year, they're still the premier names in the Pac-12. And then you beat Arizona, who's been a perennial powerhouse in the Big 12. And then you go to Arizona State, have to do that Arizona State road trip, and it just was a perfect spot for a flash spot.
And Arizona State off a humiliating loss.
Absolutely, yeah. They lose by 21 or something. As a 15.5 point favorite. So that was a great spot for Arizona State, and it came up. And I'll tell you what, I hope that Washington and Arizona State hook up in the conference tournament, because that's when you get the revenge things where you go back and look. Okay, yeah, this team beat them, but what were the circumstances before, during, and after that game? That's the old who, what, and where that I like to look at, in second meetings and in conference tournaments.
Last thought, by the way. I know he's playing great ball. He might not play tonight for Baylor. The Mason kid from Yale, if he hadn't gotten thrown out of Yale, well, he did. He got thrown out. We might have an Ivy League team that could be in the mix to make noise. That's how good this Yale team could have been had Mason not gotten kicked out of school. I mean, they're going to be a pain in the neck. Watch out for Yale in the first round of the NCAA tournament if they make it. They're going to be a pain in the neck for somebody, and we've seen Ivy League teams do that before. How about we look at some of tonight's action, guys? Let's check out a couple of NBA and a couple of college games as we head to our MJ Christensen 4 at 4.
1, 2. Bring it to the four.
Put the 4s up. Put the 4s up, I said. Do it right now.
Tonight's action is just around the bend, and the guys want to get your night off to a great start.
4.
It's the Las Vegas Sportsline's 4 at 4.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. Unbelievable.
And by the way, we're just like a couple of days away from Valentine's Day. I know that the people I'm talking to right now are sharp enough to have already gotten this taken care of, okay? But if you're one of those who's like, oh no, what do I do now? Just go to MJ Christensen, okay? Just drive over to Boca Park right now, turn off the radio, get to Boca Park. They'll help you out. They will save your posterior on Valentine's Day, and they'll do so with some great savings throughout the store, 30 to 70% off select items. on the Valentine's Day special at MJ Christensen. Blazers and Thunder, I guess, is the best of the NBA matchups tonight, Chuck. I mean, couple of pretty good teams here. I know. Look, there's one great team, and these aren't either of them, but it's still a good matchup.
Yeah, it is. It's strange, but it was something that I actually talked about earlier today, is that you just don't have those same rivalries in pro basketball as you did. I mean, it is a good game, but after Golden State, when they're playing, any of the top maybe 10 teams in the league, especially out west, you can call that maybe a rivalry now. But I remember growing up, and when it was, Bulls Pistons or Celtics Sixers, I mean, it just had a different meaning than it does today. I think, I understand it's today's world in pro basketball, and with free agency and the amount of movement in that league, I mean, it's crazy, I think. There's more movement in that league around the deadline than in most leagues. I guess that would be one of the better matchups tonight. I guess you can make a case Miami and Denver is a good game. Anytime you can see the Greek Freak play, it's always fun. But yeah, that probably is the best game tonight.
Chuck, building on that rivalry thing, I think there is still one here, and Oklahoma City's just coming off of it. They played Houston on Saturday. Ever since Harden went from Oklahoma City to Houston, when these two teams meet up, Westbrook and him, there's a battle there, and I think that's one of the rivalries. And I think it's a bad spot for Oklahoma City tonight. I know that they have the advantage scheduling-wise because they had yesterday off and Portland played, but this isn't your normal back-to-back. It's a short trip from playing in Dallas to go to Oklahoma City, and it was an early game. It was a 3 o'clock in the afternoon game yesterday, so you have more than your normal back-to-back rest. I think Portland's live in this game. You've got Oklahoma City just 9-21 against the spread the last 2 seasons, facing division opponents. I'm on the dog tonight with Portland here.
All right, how about this? Because there is some rivalry here just because of the geography. And it often leads to good games when these two teams meet up. The Mavericks and the Rockets play tonight. Dallas has actually, I think, been better than most people thought they would be this season, and the Rockets have the most dynamic offensive player in the league, and James Harden, and they're both Texas teams. So, this should be pretty good tonight, Chuck.
I think next year that's even going to be a bigger rivalry, guys. I think with what Dallas did in the offseason and how much cap space that they have, I think they're going to be one of those teams to look at next year as a value play. But, no, I agree. I think you look at Portland, though, real quick. They're only 10-14 on the road, so they're not a great road team. But maybe some value there against the number with OKC having to play back-to-back like that.
With Dallas, they're in the same boat as Portland playing yesterday, and they got that win against Portland. Portland had that game. They scored just 9 points in the fourth quarter for Dallas to get it. And Dallas has been an ATM at the betting windows. As you said, they've been a surprise to everybody. Obviously, the bookmakers, too, because Dallas is 9-1 against the spread the last 10. But they beat Houston twice this year already. And here's a little stat on Houston. The last 3 seasons, when they're playing with double revenge in season, how about 21-9 against the spread? But do you really want to lay double digits with the Rockets in that defense?
Still 70%. Pretty good.
It is a very good number.
What defense?
Yeah,
really.
That's it, yeah. I think maybe they just have the fence. They don't have the D.
Moving to the college side, we've got, it's a little deja vu going on here. Because Oklahoma, about this time last year, fell apart. I mean, they were just awful down the stretch last season. They got into the NCAA tournament, but I don't think a lot of people thought they belonged, and then they were out of the NCAA tournament very quickly. Yeah. Well, they've hit another slump. They're not playing well right now. They have to go to face a Baylor team. Now, Baylor could be shorthanded tonight because we mentioned Mason earlier. He's a little bit banged up, and I'm not sure. As of this morning, he was a game-time decision. So makes it tough to handicap this. But just looking at it from Oklahoma's side, when a team went through what they went through last year, and then they start to go through it again, as they're doing right now, I think that's something Lon Kruger's got to find a way to overcome what could be a real mental hurdle for the Sooners at this point.
Yeah, I agree. That they have backed Baylor a little bit in this game. We've seen some Baylor play. But I agree with you as far as Oklahoma goes. That is 2 straight years. It's kind of the same MO. I like the way Baylor plays, and like I said, the bettors have backed Baylor a little bit in this one.
If you remember, Dave, when these two played This is an embarrassing loss, revenge for Oklahoma. They lost by 30 on their home floor, and that was a situation where they were coming off that Vanderbilt win on 2 days earlier. I used Baylor in the first meeting because Oklahoma caught Vandy the game after Vandy played Tennessee, that overtime game when they blew the 6-point lead with 90 seconds left. So they caught a flat Vanderbilt team.
And I think they haven't won a game since.
They haven't won a game since then. But Baylor, as you said, this is a team that, they lose Tristan Clark. You thought the team would have fell apart then.
I thought, and I got this completely wrong, because I thought, boy, Clark was their only real inside scorer. And now what are they going to do? Everybody's going to make him shoot from outside. And they got better.
The
team got
off
better.
Six straight against the spread.
Mason just took things over.
But here's a spot. This, Dave, you like league-wide stats. Here's one for you. Home teams revenging a home blowout loss of 20 points or more and had at least 2 starters returning from last year's team, so it's a team with a little bit of experience. They're 101 wins, just 56 losses against the spread. Yeah. That applies to Oklahoma tonight in this one. To me, I got to take the revenging road dog in this one.
Kansas and TCU, we talked about all these teams at the top of the show, and it wasn't by accident, Chuck. I left Kansas off the list. I don't know how good they're going to be. I mean, they just lost too many guys. Now Vic has left the team for some personal reasons. They missed Azubuike's out for the year. They lost another kid to eligibility. It just doesn't look like a typical Kansas team right now. And TCU might be able to get him tonight. Short number, though.
They might. I thought that about Kansas coming into the year, guys. I didn't think they were going to be that good this year. I thought just the way that they played early on, I didn't like their depth. They didn't look like a normal Bill Self team. And I like TCU a little bit tonight, to be honest with you.
Jamie Dixon, last 2 seasons in home games, revenging the loss, 6-0 against the spread. You look at this Kansas team, Dave, they put they started 4 freshmen on Saturday. Now, we talk about all these, blue chip programs in their freshmen, but the problem is the freshmen are on the floor in November, not having to be on the floor now and just learning. This is a bad spot. This may be the end of a 14-year reign for Kansas as the Big 12 champion. I have a lean to TCU, but I'll tell you what I really like in this game. I like the over 149. TCU is an 11-3 to the over after playing a road game the last 2 years, and Kansas is 10-2 to the over, playing off of just 1 day rest when they do that Saturday to Monday. So you got 2 angles pointing the same way. Lean over.
I'll bet a lot of people listening right now think that they're very familiar with Last Man Standing, college and pro football. At Station Casino is absolutely fantastic contest, lots of fun. But what a lot of people might not know is it's back for basketball pretty soon. Chuck, tell us all about it.
Last Man Standing, such a great contest, guys. We do it for both pro football and college football, and we do it again for the college basketball tournament. $25 entry fee. It's just a terrific contest. You just have action. If you continue to win, you advance. You pick 1 game each day against our contest line, and you've got an opportunity for $50,000 guaranteed. So the tournament's so much fun. I think this is kind of the ultimate handicapping contest out there. Guests love it. If you're a serious handicapper, Last Man Standing is the play. And, we're excited about it. The season starts a little bit later this year, the tournament, so you've still got plenty of time to get signed up, get ready to roll, and have a chance to maybe win a big cash prize.
Hoops and hockey available every day on the app, along with the Alliance of American Football. But, something else that's on there, Santa Anita is back in action now for horse players. And one of the really cool things about the mobile app, the STN app, is that if you bet $10 on a race, you can stream that race live on your device. That's pretty nice, because if you're out someplace, they're not going to put TVG on the TV. They're just not going to. They're just not going to do it. I don't care what bar you're in. TVG is not going on the. So unless you're at the sports book, you can't see the race pretty much, unless you're playing with the STN app. That makes it cool.
It does make it cool. We know the popularity of the STN Sports mobile app and the growth that we've seen, and how it really brings the sports book to the palm of the bettor's hand. Again, we love when the bettors come out and they have so much fun and enjoy everything we have to offer. But the same thing with races, guys. When guests are in the room, we offer the twin Q on many days where you can win a prize of $5, $10, or even on big race days, $20,000. And as you mentioned, Dave, with the STN Race Mobile side,